Hello, pop girlies.
Hello.
Hey everyone.
I don't have a pun to give for this album because this doesn't really feel like that kind of album. It's
Honestly, nothing to laugh at here.
no. And it almost feels like disrespectful to like make a little hee 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 ha ha
To
ha.
try to lol about LOL
Oh,
And
LOL
there you
about
go and
lol.
and
and
there
you
you
went
did
and did
it.
it.
Oh my God.
You went and did it.
I'm trying to
I never
lol
want
about
you to accuse me of
that
ever
was
saying
rotten.
anything rotted again ever in my entire life. That was like 30-day-old turkey carcass left out in the sun, vulture circling. That's what that was.
Wow.
So,
Rotted.
Well, that
gag.
just shows not a funny time today.
No, there's nothing to be laughing about. There
No words.
literally there's there's words, but the words are of mental anguish and
Sure.
concern. Um,
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, if this is your first week listening to Pop Girlies, welcome.
Pick a different one, then come back.
Yeah, let's pick a
Yeah.
different one and come back,
It's just not, this is for the MVPs, the veterans, the Purple Heart Club, like the people who've been here, done that. Like maybe listen to Dance Fever, that kind of will dip your toe in these waters
Yeah,
and then come
maybe.
back for us.
I ask you one question. Do you know who the Queen Honey is? If you don't, go and listen to some other episodes and then come back
And
here.
come back and know every possible answer to that question.
Yeah, there's multiple answers, so
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you can't give us a floor plan for Pop Girly Stadium, exit out of Spotify right now.
Yeah.
So,
just log off.
I feel like we should put like a passcode on this episode. If there's a way to do that.
I don't know if there is a way to do that.
I
How
don't think
fun
so,
though.
What
but
if we just call Spotify up and ask them?
what if we just don't post this episode?
Yeah.
What if it's just for us?
It's the vault. It's the first vault episode.
First vault track. Wait, I love this. Okay, this is the vault. This is the vault episode.
Carrie and Lowell Pop Girlies version.
Yeah, from the vault.
From the vault.
From the vault. Well, on this note, let's get started by going into our hot tracks. So for those new listeners who definitely shouldn't be listening to this episode, this is us talking about just songs that we've been listening to throughout the week. And Maria, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Well, um, other than listening to this album in preparation for the episode, everything else I've been listening to has like pretty starkly juxtaposed this album, like
Good.
just in terms of
Most things
vibes.
do.
Yeah, so I wanted to choose something that had like some levity to it. So I am choosing Attention by Kesha and Slater and Rose Gray as my hot track. So I've actually been listening to it quite a bit. And if like anyone is a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race and you guys haven't seen Lee Dawson's recaps on YouTube, look them up because they're so funny. It's like I think integral lore to just like being a Drag Race fan. They're so funny. But he used Attention in like his most recent one, so because of that, I've just been listening to it a ton. But yeah, that's my hot track. I think it's such a fun song. But yeah, there's my hot track.
Okay. Attention. I haven't listened to it actually. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I know people have been talking about it, but I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, I think it's super fun. I think it's honestly a little bit long. Like I don't know if we needed like two features on it. I don't know.
Mm.
But it's still
Hmm.
fun. Like I just think it's a little bit long.
Pop girlies, go off in the comments what you think. Tell us,
Yeah,
do you think it needed two features?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's start a fight. I came here to fight.
I came here to fight.
Drew, what's yours?
Okay, cool. So I have been listening to, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I've been listening to Witness by Katy Perry. Um,
Are you scared of being honest?
just gonna
Are you,
be
are you,
honest
are you
about
scared
it.
of people finding out you like Katy Perry? Like this is
No.
a known fact.
Um, And I just had a huge like rediscovery with the song on Witness that I never really had gotten into before. And it's Save His Draft, which I love. I love that song so much now. And I liked it on Witness, like when it came out and whatever, but I really had moments with it the past like week. So yeah, first Witness track to Grace Pop Girlies.
I like that song. That's a good
Oh,
song.
it's so good.
Yeah, it's a good song. Um,
Tea.
I'm excited for us to do Witness eventually to talk about it. I feel like that's an album that there's just like so much.
So much lore.
There's just so, yeah, there's so much lore and there's so much to talk about. And I actually don't really think, I feel like it's better than people remember it.
Oh, totally.
I do. I do believe that. Marie, have you ever listened to it?
No, not the whole thing. And actually, just taking a look now, I didn't realize it was so long. I
It's
didn't realize it
long.
was over
Yeah,
an
it's
hour
long.
and 17 songs.
It's her longest album, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like it's a
Wow.
big boy. It's a very long album. Um, okay, well, awesome, cool. My hot track is, yeah, kind of bad timing for this because while I've been prepping for this, I've also unfortunately been in a Mitski mood, which has just not been conducive to anything joyful.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of Mitski, and my hot track is a song called Star. Um, it's one of my favorite Mitski songs, and it holds just a very special place in my heart. It makes me think of somebody who's really important to me. So yeah, love that song. It's from her latest album, which is great. We'll do a Mitski album, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, we need some Mitski in
Totally.
this
Yeah,
gig.
I love Mitski. She's one of my favorite songwriters. So okay. Well,
No.
now let's let's get into this. I feel bad like being almost like I'm not like it's I'm not excited because like I think this album is there's a lot to discuss. It's just like very heavy. Um
Right.
obviously to talk about and very it's just very sad. So let's get into it though. So yeah, we are doing Carrie Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. This is somebody who we've never talked about on the podcast before. I don't really think like I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a big Sufjan Stevens fan. I don't really know if Drew or Maria would either. So it's kind of cool to, talk about a record that I feel like maybe all of us will be able to be like pretty objective with because it's not something that I think any of us will have like super sentimental attachment to. Um, but so just for kind of some background on him as an artist before getting into the record, since we haven't talked about him before. Sufjan Stevens, he is an American singer-songwriter, like a lot of the people we talk about are. He was born in Detroit, Michigan, Michigan representation, Maria. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he was raised by his father and stepmother, which is kind of important to the plot and lore of this album. He attended Hope College, which is a private Christian liberal arts school in Holland, Michigan. And during his final semester, he recorded and released his debut album, A Sun Came, which, well, no, he wrote and recorded it, and then he released it in 2000. And it was released on the label Asthmatic Kitty, which was founded by a community of musicians in Holland led by Sufjan and his stepfather, Lowell Bram. His kind of bigger breakthrough started with the release of his album Michigan in 2003. So this was the first album in a project that he called the 50 States Project, which he said would see him write and release an album for each of the 50 United States. Only one other 50 States album has been released, Illinois in 2005. Um, the kind of whole thing is seen as a little bit more of a gimmick and kind of a way to like start publicity, which obviously worked. But Illinois in particular was a massive success. That was a huge, huge hit of a record. And it was a big critical success. People have probably heard the song Chicago um, by him from that album. And that record kind of launched him to the forefront of the indie music scene. And he became known in like the Pitchfork circle, that kind of musical circle. Something he's really known for is his genre fluidity. His projects touch on a lot of different sounds like folk, alt rock, indie pop, baroque pop, electronica, and just kind of avant-garde music. Lots of his catalog takes inspiration from his Christian faith and spirituality. He does not like identify as a Christian artist. Like he wouldn't call himself like he doesn't make Christian music and he doesn't really give a lot of interviews and his faith isn't really something he talks about publicly. He also there was also a lot of speculation for a long time about his sexuality because people would listen to his music and be like, wow, this is about Jesus and also this is really gay. And he never publicly spoke about his sexuality or identified with being gay until his partner died in 2022, I believe. 2022 or 2023. It might have been 2023. I don't remember. And he released his album Javelin, which is about his partner dying, which is a very good record as well. Um, but a lot of his imagery and metaphors, kind of going back to the Christianity thing, are like from the Bible, are very spiritual in nature. And there's a lot of that on this record. So, getting into the album itself, following the release of 2010's electronica inspired The Age of Odds, his follow up seventh album, Carrie Lowell, was a return to the folk music and sparse instrumentation of previous albums like Seven Swans, which is a very, very Christian inspired record. The Carrie Lowell's genesis pretty much is the 2010 death of his mother, Carrie, along with the tumultuous childhood memories he has from visiting her and her second husband, Lowell Bram, in Oregon. His mother suffered from a lot of things. She had a very complicated life. She suffered from depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, and addiction. And she abandoned him and his siblings when he was just a year old and they spent the majority of his life estranged. So, like I mentioned, when he was a kid, his dad and his stepmom would like kind of send them off, and they would spend the summers with his mom and his stepdad in Oregon. And I think that was very, very painful for everybody involved. And so, yeah, they were estranged for the majority of his life before she died of stomach cancer in 2012. So these songs were written as a way to process her death, his grief, and just kind of in general, the pain from all these memories from when he was a kid. So the album was conceived in 2014 and it was largely recorded in New York, but some songs were recorded throughout the states in Oregon. There's actually a song that was recorded in a hotel room in Oregon because he really wanted to get like an authentic, like feeling song, kind of Pacific Northwest feeling song. Also, they were recorded in Oklahoma and Wisconsin, and in Wisconsin, they were recorded at Justin Vernon's studio, that's Bon Iver. The record is produced by Thomas Bartlett, who also goes by Dove Man, and he's worked with artists like Florence the Machine, who I love, obviously, Saint Vincent, who I also like, and Nora Jones. Sorry, Nora, I don't have anything to say about you. He's also a friend of Sufjan, and he had recently lost his brother to cancer when they started making this record. So the two primary collaborators on the album were both dealing with deep grief. No Shade in the Shadow of the Cross was released as the first single on February 16th, 2015. Should Have Known Better was released as the second single on March 11th, 2015, and then the album itself was released on March 31st, 2015. The album was an immediate critical hit. It also peaked at 10 on the Billboard Hot 200. But yeah, the big success with this record is the critical reception. Most critics immediately declared it to be his magnum opus and one of the best albums of the year. It has a 90 on Metacritic, which is a great score. And Pitchfork gave it Best New Music and a original score of 9.3. It was listed as one of the best albums of 2015 by the AV Club, The Guardian, Pitchfork, Stereo Gum, and NME. And the first three publications also listed it as one of the best albums of the 2010s. I also want to note that this year is the 10th anniversary of the record. That's kind of why this album has been a bit in my like kind of mind because there's this celebration of its anniversary, and to celebrate it, he released an expanded double LP of the record with seven previously unreleased songs, a 40-page art book, and an essay that he wrote about the record. Something that I thought was interesting to note. So obviously, the album's cover is this like old picture of his mom and his stepdad, and the anniversary edition's cover is the full Polaroid with like the frame around it. And also interesting about this, this is where it's revealed where the album's title came from. I mean, obviously it's about, his mom and his stepdad, but on the Polaroid are the words Carrie and Lowell written in a child's handwriting, and that was his sister. So they took this picture of his mom and his stepdad, and his sister wrote Carrie and Lowell on it, and that's where he got the name for the record. And that wasn't revealed until this year. The majority of the new songs are demos or alternate versions of songs already on the record. I also want to note that kind of, I think the most notable is that the fan favorite song, 4th of July, has a 13-minute version on this expanded version. So putting All Too Well to shame. I haven't listened to it because I cannot imagine listening to a 13-minute version of that song. That does sound like torture.
I
Those
don't think I could do it.
I like actually don't think I could do it.
No, I'm not willing to do it.
I don't think I could do it. I think it would be like self-harm. Like it would be bad, bad for everyone involved. Um, and then the most interesting thing I want to note about this is that he's talked a lot about how he feels about this album, and it's been very revealing. So he talks about this in the essay, but he also has done a little bit of press for this release. And he doesn't do interviews and he's, kind of a bit secretive, but he did this NPR interview where he talked a lot about how he feels about the record now, 10 years later. And it's really interesting what he says. So he describes this album as a quote, creative and artistic failure. And he goes on to say, quote, I was trying to make sense of something that is senseless. I felt that I was being manipulative and self-centered and solipsistic and self-loathing, and that the approach that I had taken to my work, which is to kind of create beauty from chaos, was failing me. It was very frustrating. And for the first time, I realized that not everything can be sublimated into art, that some things just remain unsolvable or insoluble. I think I was really just frustrated by even trying to make sense of the experience of grief through the songs. He goes on to say that he is embarrassed of the album and feels like it didn't resolve anything that he wanted it to resolve. He was asked if he regretted making the record, and he doesn't fully go there because he acknowledges that like the songs have resonated with a lot of people. And I think he was being like respectful of his audience's relationship, which I actually respect that. I think we talked about maybe in the last episode how like Miley Cyrus always talks shit about every single album that she's ever made. And like something that bugs me about that is it's kind of like a fuck you to her fans because it's like, oh, this piece of art that you really like resonate with, that you love, and that's why you're my fan. Well, I fucking hate it. Like, I think this is a much more interesting case because he's very respectful of like the listener's relationship to the music, but this is also about something so deeply personal that like it makes sense why you would have a really complicated relationship with it. But he doesn't say that he regrets it, and he kind of just in the end goes, I just like wish that my mom was here to say something. I don't know what she would say. Maybe she would like it. I don't know. And I really love this sentence that he says um when he talks about that he was trying to make sense of something that is senseless. I almost feel like that could just be the thesis statement of the album because that is what he's doing in the songs. And to me, one of the things that's so heavy about this record is it captures grief in a way that is honest, but not necessarily like positive or encouraging. Like it acknowledges the unimaginable and unnameable qualities of someone dying and of pain and of memories. So I think it was really interesting. I wanted to put that out there because reading that quote was kind of what reconnected me with this record and then made me decide that I wanted to talk about it on the show. It was that quote because I just thought it was so interesting that I listened to the album for the first time in a long time and I was like, wow, I just really wanted to talk about it. So I'm sorry for making everybody listen to such a sad album, but I also think it's a really beautiful um, piece of work and piece of music. So let's get this roast a cooking. Let's get started. I'm gonna have Maria start us off. So the
Sure.
floor is yours, Miss Maria.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So I have been familiar with the work of Sufjan Stevens for quite a while. I mean, like my one of my older brothers listened to his music a ton when we were in grade school, and I know I've talked about this before on the show, but like I'd always kind of I had there was like an allure that I had around like, oh my gosh, like he's driving me to school, like what's he gonna play in the car? You know, I was like always very excited for what he would play, and I knew that he really liked Sufjan Stevens music, so yeah, I feel like that was something where I was like, oh, like let me listen, like I know this is the vibe, and they would play his music on that Alt Nation Sirius XM channel that I also listened to a ton when I was growing up. So so yeah, we'll just like kind of creep into his discography every now and then. I think the like 50 States album project thing is just like so funny. Like just like the kind of troll of it all of like, yeah, I'm gonna make 50 albums for all 50 states and then just make two. Like I think that's so funny. I'm like super entertained by that. But selfishly, I also love it because both of the albums that he's done are to the two states that I've lived in. So I'm like, oh, kind of love that. Like, just feel a little like extra special with those. But I feel like on the surface, well, I haven't heard all of the Michigan album, but I did listen to the entire Illinois album before. And I think like surface level, like the whole thing just like is a lot more like not like necessarily happier, but has I think like a lighter like context around it, you know? Like I and again just like very surface level observation, like it just doesn't seem as personal. And I think yeah, like everyone knows the Chicago song. Like for the most part, it's like a pretty fun, uplifting song. I feel like it's also used in a lot of media. Like what was that show with Ben Platt where they used it?
The Politician.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they used it in that. And they used the demo version of Chicago and the Bear too once before, so love that. Um, but yeah, I just think his music's really incredible. I think the way that he stacks his vocals is really interesting and especially interesting on this album because it almost makes his voice sound like sometimes like it's got some sort of like radio static feedback in it. So it feels really textured when you listen to it. So I think that is like a really interesting choice and is pretty consistent like throughout his discography from what I've seen of like if you're gonna hear his vocals, you're hearing him stacked over himself like four or five times potentially. So for that, I think his signature sound is just like really intriguing. Um, but yeah, this whole album's pretty devastating. Um, it's interesting for I think it's interesting for a listener to kind of be somewhat like uh encapsulated in the narrative that he's building here, which is of course like as we know from personal experience, um of just kind of like the themes throughout of grief, abandonment, and just kind of like childhood recollection. Like what track is it? I think it's Eugene, where he's just kind of like reflecting on like vignettes of when he was younger, and I think it's just kind of funny how some of the lyrics are just like we were at the beach, yogurt, hanging out. And I just think that's so alluring, like that kind of child recollection. It's like something that I think we all kind of have some sort of sensibility to, as we've discussed before, like Seven by Taylor is a song that we talk about all the time. It's like one of my favorite Taylor songs of all time, just because it really captures that like childhood kind of innocence that you only have for so long, and then like the world really prevents you from ever having that sort of whimsy or wonder ever again. So it's just like really interesting. And I think for like Sufjan to have this experience of being forced into normalcy so fast because of this familial structure that he had is like just really interesting to listen to throughout the album, and the way that the lyrics are constructed is really interesting. Um, but one of my favorite things about him as a songwriter in general. And I think this is pretty consistent throughout his music too, is just he uses a lot of nautical imagery, which I like really, really enjoy. Um, like one of my favorites in All of Me Wants All of You is he says, "In this light you look like Poseidon," which is just like such an intriguing way of saying that like you idolize somebody and you like think the world of them. Like I not only think of you as like a god, but like one in particular Greek god, I think is like very interesting. Um, but yeah, that's just like something I think is really interesting. And um, 4th of July is literally one of the most devastating things I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever listened to it without crying. But the lyrical structure in it is just so beautiful. Um, it's amazing. It's completely remarkable. So yeah, I think this album's amazing. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a heavy listen for sure, but the music's so beautiful. And yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. But um, but yeah, it's incredible. I'm glad that we got to talk about something that's like somewhat different from our usual. But I think he's such an incredible artist and his discography is giant. Like he has so much music. Um, and yeah, yeah, that's all I got.
No, I'm happy. I agree with you. I'm happy that we're talking about something that's different for us and an album like this. I was trying to think when you said that. I was like, Blue is by Joni is like I would consider a folk album, but like a very
Yeah.
kind of folk album than this.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That exists kind of in a different world. Also a very sad album.
Yeah.
Um,
Something also I actually just realized I wanted to say too. So I mentioned that my older brother really likes his music. So maybe like 5 years ago for Christmas, I got him this album on vinyl and I had no idea what this album was about.
oh.
So, Merry Christmas.
I mean, I feel like the cover is like such like a classic like indie album cover and like it's so striking
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like you want to know like what's happening. I mean, the first time I think I knew about this album was when it was released and I remember it was the side of the cover. I just found it very, very striking that this old photograph and the photograph's interesting and these people look very interesting in it. And yeah, I get why you
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like very much got that like indie, like early to mid 2010s, like let's slap an old photo on here. I mean, I think especially with the album being called Carrie and Lowell, like it's pretty obvious, like, well, I have to assume those are his parents. But yeah, that was a very, very indie alt rock pop thing of like, we're gonna give this some sort of like twee spin and like
Yeah.
make it an old photo. But I also love like specifically how this picture, like it almost looks like waterlogged, like it's got some sort of like water damage and it's like frosted. I don't know. It's interesting. Like it gives it more depth than
Yeah, it
like,
does.
here's an old photo. I mean, maybe that's actually what it looked like at the time. Like maybe it did fall into a puddle or something. I don't know. But it's interesting. It's interesting to look at.
Well, like the cracks, like those like like it almost looks like it's like China or something like that, like
Right.
glass, like the way that like there's some kind of damage. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really just interesting photo.
Hmm.
And the facial expression on his mom's face, I think, is just very kind of, I don't know, there's something about it that I find very striking and kind of haunting a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Drew. Drew.
Yes. Um, so I really love this. Um, I was not familiar with Mr. Stevens' work um until The Politician with the Netflix show with Ben Platt. The song Illinois is or Chicago, sorry. The song Chicago from the album Illinois is the title music. And I really love the song. Like something about him is like his I find his voice just very striking. Like I feel like he could do like a cover of any song and I would immediately know that it was him. Like he kind of just has one of those like instantly recognizable voices. Um which is really cool because Chicago is so different from anything in my opinion on this album. Uh and in but they feel somehow connected in a way, which is really cool. Um, and then I love his music in Call Me by Your Name as well. Yeah. So that's kind of my exposure to him, but I was really excited to listen to this. And I really had an amazing time. I mean, kind of going off of what Maria was saying, I just was really, I think the thing that really just drew me in was his use of like nostalgia in the um lyrics that he writes. Like everything, while everything is so sad and a lot of his memories are like clearly coming from a place of like recognizing pain and like recognizing like where things come from. I find that like, well, it is nostalgic. I don't think how I was interpreting the music and connecting it and like trying to relate to it in any way, it actually brought back like a lot of like I felt like it was I was able to like connect to a lot of the his use of nostalgia because and much like how we do with like Seven from Taylor, but it's kind of weird. It was just it felt different than that. Because Seven to me feels like I see so much of the story that Taylor's telling in the song. I don't necessarily relate to a lot of this story because Taylor's lyrics in Seven are so specific. But a lot of these things he's talking about, like a lot of different, just like memories and just like um almost like photographs of his childhood, like the images that you can't get out of your head. Um, and I was so struck by that. Like or struck, sorry. I was so striked. But no, I was just completely struck by all of that. It brought back so many like memories of growing up and like going on like field trips as a kid, honestly. Like it brought back so much of that. Um and it was just so interesting how a lot of these memories were just so painful. Like the one that comes to mind is the one of him in the pool with his stepdad and he just like couldn't pronounce his name correctly. Like something like that, like as a kid, it wouldn't be something that would be very painful as a kid. I don't think. Like someone just not being able to say your name or like it's not something that comes across as a child like offensive or rude, but like something reflecting on that being like your stepdad and like your father figure like brings him so much pain. That was just something that was I've never heard reflected in music before, really. Um, so I was obsessed with all of that. I never experienced that. And yeah. And just the way he sounds, his vocal performance is so it's so like mystical and almost like enchanting in a way. Um yeah, and I mean, I've never been to the Pacific Northwest, but clearly he has such a like strong connection to it that comes across so much in the music that I really also enjoyed. I love hearing music about or referencing a specific place. Um, and that's so evident in this. So yeah, I had a really amazing time listening to this, even though it was so, 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 so sad. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't know, I just connected so much with like knowing so much about him and connecting so much to those like memories that he said. So I had an amazing time. Um, the um the only like dumb connection that I'll make that like is almost stupid that I don't want to say, but a lot of the a lot of the songs were giving me um the Tim Burton remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the Oompa Loompa songs. Like specifically the song
What?
that they sing after Veruca Salt gets evacuated through um the squirrel incinerator. It literally sounds so much like a lot of the songs in this album, specifically Blue Bucket of Gold, that I could not get it out of my head. So I literally like went back and watched like the video of that and I was like, no, I am valid. Like it literally sounds exactly like that. Um, So that was just so stupid, and I just like can't get it out of my head, but I had to share it.
Whoa.
Um, yeah.
Cool.
So just a little thing. But again, it's like I had to share it because it's like I watched that movie so many times, and like much like his reflection on this album, like you just have those memories in your head that like I don't know, just like I don't know, just reliving childhood is just so interesting. And reflecting on it after death is so interesting. Like I haven't lost like someone like my mom or someone who like raised me, so that is really interesting. Just I know it'll be so devastating to listen to this like in like when I'm like super old and like yeah, it's just I don't know. It's
Yeah.
I probably won't want to listen to it, but yeah, it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a tough listen. It is tough.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably is one of those albums too that will change depending on what you're going through and like if you can relate to that kind of grief, because I feel like that will
Right.
make your
Because
relationship
it's
even.
almost like when you don't when you haven't been through something like this, you connect to the other things. Like you try to latch on to any sort of happiness that he portrays because there is like some sort of it and but like it just is it's very little obviously but like even those little bits of happiness they're so much easier to latch onto because there's so much sad. I don't know, it was hard but
Hmm.
so good.
Well,
So that's it.
thank you. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I loved hearing what you both had to say. Uh, yeah, my thoughts. It's been hard for me to kind of come up with them. I feel like this album is almost like death in the sense that it's hard to talk about. I find grief to be something that is difficult to put into words, and I don't know if that's just because it's so like personal and I feel like it looks differently with every person, with every situation. It also is like ephemeral and it's not something that is concrete and it's the absence of something. It's not, you know, the thing itself. It's not like, a wedding is like to a union of people together, but a funeral death, I mean, it's nothing. It's nothingness. It's really, really sad. And yeah, I've been kind of struggling to put thoughts into words. My relationship with Sufjan Stevens, he's been an artist I've always thought is very, very interesting. I've listened to things throughout the years. I've never like super latched onto something like, you know, be like, oh, this is like, my favorite album this year or whatever. But I really like Javelin when it was released, and I listened to it quite a bit. Um, I've listened to this album throughout the years. This is the most I've gotten into it. And it really is one of those records that you turn it on and it's like hard for me to do other things while I'm listening to this album. A lot of the times when I'm listening to records in preparation for pop girlies, I just kind of have them playing throughout the week. So I could be at the gym or I'll be at work or I'll be walking or I'll be on the train or the bus or whatever. Um, and it's hard for me to do that with this album. Like this is an album to me that I really need to kind of sit and listen to it. I think it's partly due to just maybe all due to just the gravity of what this record is about and what it's telling you and the way that it makes you feel. I mean, it's an absolutely gorgeous album. It's a really, really gorgeous album. And it's very special. And I feel like you can tell that it's like a special record from the very beginning of it. It has this tenderness to it that I really love. I think the production is absolutely beautiful. Something I really admire about it is how cohesive it is. I mean, all of these songs sound like they belong together. They all fit together so perfectly, and they're using similar palettes, but nothing feels repetitive to me. None of this album feels redundant. None of the songs fade for me. I think that like the way that like each guitar strum is different and kind of dances around the melodic line and the use of piano and other instrumentation, I just find to be really beautiful, and it kind of captures this like fragile emotional state really well. To me, this album kind of feels like how it feels when you just stopped crying after you've been crying for a really, really long time, and your cheeks are puffy and your eyes are really red and you're kind of tired and you just feel really like cracked open. That's what this record feels like to me. I think the lyricism is just out of this world. I think it's beautiful. Um, his voice as a lyricist is so fascinating. It's like he has so many different touch points. I mean, obviously the biblical stuff I find very fascinating and I really connect to because faith has just played a big part in my life. I also love like he like talks about like biblical and like supernatural and like magical things. I mean he talks about like Maria pointed out the Poseidon thing on the only thing he talks a lot about like Greek mythology. There's this recurring mention of a dragon that's mentioned in multiple songs. He talks about Casper the ghost in one song, and in the very first song that's kind of connected, he talks about your apparition passes through me. Um, Vampire references are made. And then you also have all the biblical references. I mean, also I'm saying the only thing because that's the lyrics I have pulled up right now, but he talks about like Daniel, who's obviously somebody who's a biblical figure. It's just really fascinating, and I really like the juxtaposition of this, mythical, grand, classical imagery alongside these very specific mundane memories of like him being in a swimming pool, him being in a hotel room, him being in Oregon. And it's very rich to me. It is very evocative. Another thing I really like about this record is to me his mom is kind of haunting the album. She kind of is like a ghost. Like I like that it's not like every song is about his mom. And I like that there's not like this is a song about when my mom did this, and this is a song about when I did this, and when my mom, but his mom like just pops up kind of out of nowhere in a lot of these songs, and like it's like there's passing references to her, and it's like she literally is the ghost that is haunting him. Of course, there are songs that like are very much about her, and I think the centerpiece of the record is Fourth of July, which is a conversation between the two of them while she's dying in a hospital room, and it's just insanely sad. But it feels the way that grief feels to me when you see somebody everywhere, even though they're nowhere anymore. And she's this like presence that is haunting everything and permeating everything. And you see her in everything, even though she's nowhere to be seen. I love the way his vocals are produced. I agree with, I think both of you talked about that. I love it. Um, there's like such this like lovely texture to the way his vocals are produced, and the way he sings. It's very, very tender. It's not showy. It's very human. It's very warm. It's very emotional, which I love. It's just a really beautiful album. It's not an album that is one I can like put on any time, but it feels kind of the way that like a warm blanket feels after you've been really upset, or like maybe when you're really sick. Like there is this comforting quality, and I think it kind of is due to this, beautiful, warm, folky production. It has this kind of like gloomy yet also like emotional feeling and atmosphere, which I think kind of maybe provides a little bit of sense of that comfort. And then kind of what Drew was talking about, this like nostalgia. A lot of this album is about memories in childhood, and that just kind of naturally, I feel like conjures up a little bit of a cozy vibe. So yeah, it's a really beautiful record, and it's just very obvious to me why this is a piece of music that has endured and connects with people in a really deep level. And if this is an album that connects with you because of something you've experienced, or a loss that you've had, like I'm just really happy that this exists and that you can go to it for comfort or for answers or for clarity or for connection. It just kind of reminds me of why music is really beautiful and important in the first place. And art is important in the first place. So that's what I have. I think we've all talked
Yay.
about depressing stuff enough. So let's talk about more depressing stuff. The songs themselves. We're gonna get into our favorite and our least favorite songs in the album. We're gonna start with our me's, which is what we call our least favorite songs. This was so hard for me. And like hard in like a lot of senses of that word. First, because I think it's a great album, but B, just because like I felt bad picking almost any of these songs. So I'm interested to hear what you guys all have to say and how you justify the picks. Because it's just like it's not like an album that like, oh, this is the bad song, or like this song is like not good. Like I just don't really think this is the kind of album that you can really say that about. So Maria, start us off. What is your me?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I definitely resonate with what you just said. Like, I was like, oh, man, I really did. I wish I didn't have to pick any of these to say, like, it's my least favorite. Because I think everything that's being said is really necessary to the narrative. And like you said, like, not every single song is about his mom. But I just ended up picking the one that I resonated with the least on just a sonic level. Like I just found it the most sparse and just kind of like had for like me personally, like in my ears, I just like had a harder time navigating it because it was like the more mellow kind of side of the album. So for that, my least favorite, air quotes, is John, My Beloved.
Mm, okay.
So there you go.
Drew.
My me was so hard because I really love this, but I ended up just going with this track just because I feel like the three before it are such a strong three-track run, and then this one does kind of dip just a tad. Um, so I'm gonna go with Drawn to the Blood.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I don't know why. I just knew that that was going to be yours.
Ah, that's what I'm choosing.
Well, it's funny because I have a very similar reasoning and similar placement, except mine is all of me wants all of you.
Wow.
Because I think I, to me, it's I like one and two are stronger, and then I love Drawn to the Blood. That to me feels like a
Hmm.
very Levi Bates song, and All of Me Wants All of You. I knew that was going to be a Drew Bates song, but I just don't connect with it as much. But like again, that's in air quotes because it's a beautiful song, and I think it's important to the album, and it is a good song, and all of that. It's just the one I connect with the least here. Okay,
T.
T.
our Holy Trinities are three favorite songs of the album. Maria, Maria,
Yarr.
Maria.
So my number three is Should Have Known Better. Love, loved this song. Um, I think before listening to the whole thing, I think I knew four of these songs maybe. And like honestly, most of this like this all of the songs that I had heard before are in my top three. Like I'm really, really attached to them. But the song I love so much. My number two is Fourth of July. I mean, I think this song honestly is such like a monumental achievement in like music making and like evoking emotions in other people. Like it's just crazy. It's just crazy that he came out like that. Like of course he has like lived experience to like to have inspired the like poetry here, but it's just so remarkable. I think, because it's kind of interesting because he's, giving voice to his mom posthumously, but seemingly like having her like pose questions to him that like would she have? Maybe. I don't know. It's just like really really interesting and I love the lyrical structure of how like she kind of calls him like a different animal. Like at the end of each phrase is like a term of endearment. I think is just like so touching. It's such an amazing song. Like it's everything. It's the song of all time. And my number one is All of Me Wants All of You.
LOL.
LOL. Yeah, I mean, like this one's always been one of my favorites of his. I just love that sentiment so much, and I love the melody, uh, in the like the chorus
Mhm.
of like it's just so beautiful. It's just so light in your ears, and it's just so pretty. And all of these do have like somewhat of like a tinge of like sorrow in them. Like even the ones again like that aren't like dripping in these like really heavy lyrics about like his experience with his mom and his family and all that. But it's just interesting. Like each of them like even if it is kind of like a nicer sentiment of like yes, I love this person a lot, it still has some sort of like a veneer of sorrow over the whole thing, which is really interesting. Um so yeah, so that's my top three.
Okay, amazing. Love it. Love
Yeah.
it, love it, love it. Um, yeah, okay. I'll save the rest of my thoughts. Drew.
Okay, my number three is Death with Dignity.
Mhm.
Such a great opener. So amazing. Really leads you into this journey in a really impactful way. And my number two is also 4th of July. So good. Um, yeah, I mean, I think like it just what Levi was saying, it's just such the centerpiece of the album. Like I don't think the album would have been as impactful without it. Um, and it also just comes in a really great place, like just being in the center. Um, and then my number one is Should Have Known Better. I love Should Have Known Better.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything about it. Sorry about it. Gag it.
Gag it.
So we have the exact same top three in the exact same order.
Wait, oh my God, that's crazy.
The only other time this has happened was me and Maria and
Short
like
and
a
sweet.
prayer. Oh, short and sweet.
Yeah, we had the same top three in the same exact order for short and sweet.
Oh, well, so then that one too.
Wait, which one is you and I, Levi?
Like a
It
prayer.
was it was like a prayer. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Have you and Maria ever matched fully three for three?
No.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Death with Dignity is an amazing opener. It's so striking the second it starts. I love when the piano comes in on that song. Um, I love, oh my God, when he says, I forgive you, mother, I can hear you, and I long to be near you, but every word
Like, get out of here.
and and then your apparition passes through me in the willows. It's like it's insane. It's so crazy.
And then ending with "You'll never see us again."
You'll never see us again. You'll never see us again.
You
And
put you mix the death and the dignity, and it's just
and it's
good.
just good. And it's just devastating. And then 4th of July obviously is like hard to talk about. I agree with Maria that it's just like a really like an accomplishment of being able to maximize the emotional reaction that somebody can have. Um, and just the structure of it. The verses are him talking and the chorus are her talking. It's fascinating. And then again, ending with the we're all gonna die, we're all gonna die, we're all gonna die. It's devastating. And
Yeah,
then
it's crazy because it's like it's so like it's like overflowing with emotion, yet things are being said so plainly.
hmm
Like really jarring things being said so plainly. Like it was
hmm
night when you died. Of course, we're all gonna die at the end. The hospital asked should the body be cast. Like it's just the very unsettling things, and the instrumentation is like very sentimental and touching. But then like everything that he's singing is spoken very plainly. So it's an interesting juxtaposition.
I'm literally like tearing up just looking at the lyrics.
It's like too much to
It is
bear.
too
It
much.
is too much.
And then should have known better. Yeah, that's always been my favorite. To me, it has my favorite lyric on the album, and it is the key to the
Which
album,
one?
which is well, first of all, I love that that song like changes, and I love that like when like the like chord progression changes and like the melodies change at the very end, it just like goes on throughout. It like feels like it's like a kind of has been hit a little bit, but it's the I should have known better. Nothing can be changed. The past is still the past, the bridge to nowhere. To me, that like captures how like futile you feel when you're grieving,
Yeah.
especially about somebody or something that like you have a complicated relationship with. It's like this is nothing. Like I am walking on a bridge to nowhere because the past is still the past. Like I can't do anything about it, but
Yeah.
you're still stuck in this loop. Like that to me is what the record is. I also
Yeah.
he talks about his niece. Like it's
Yeah.
that's like a little bit of hope and how like broken their family has been. It's like it's too
It
much.
also it also I feel like could have been a closer, but it's like almost more impactful that it's like
The second
just
song.
yeah.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Like My Black Shroud, that imagery is so good. And then it's like the super everything's super poetic, and then kind of like what Marie was just saying very plainly. And when I was three, maybe four, she left us at that video store.
Oh, stop.
Something,
And then he goes on to say, I'm light as a feather and bright as the Oregon breeze, my black shroud, frightened by my feelings. I only want to be a relief. Like it's this juxtaposition, which is just so it makes the things that are really plainly stated hit even harder and become even more powerful and emotional.
yeah. Something too, like I was reading a lot of the kind of footnotes on Genius lyrics of like things that he said in interviews, like when the album came out and like throughout the years. And there's just a very apparent um like theme of kind of obviously talking about his relationship with his mom, but also just in his family in general, just like the lack of intimacy as a family. And like through listening to this and just kind of reading into everything, like it just made me feel an immense gratitude for having a family that is close and like having relationships with like my parents and my siblings where it's like we're more than like acquaintances, like we are a family. So it's I think it's really easy to be kind of like singular in your own world and be like, cool, like I have a family that cares about me and like they know who I truly am. Like I don't have to, pretend to be somebody else. I can just be me in front of my family and like, I know that I have like a safety within like my siblings and my parents. So like it's just easy to be kind of singular in that world and just like assume that there is no other equation. Like every family is like that. And then when you kind of read into this experience, it's just like really eye-opening. So yeah, that's just kind of one of my like knee-jerk reactions. This was like that is something to be very thankful for, you
Yeah,
know?
it absolutely is. Oh God. This is making me so sad. Okay. Let's break out the
Should we
utensils.
score?
Let's score it, which also feels weird to do for an album like this.
Yeah.
And Drew, I'm gonna make you start first.
I am gonna go with
Report.
a 9.4.
9.4. Amazing. Maria, your
I'm gonna go
opinion?
in at a 9.
9. And I'm a 9. Drew, I promise. I had 9.5 planned. 9.5.
Cool.
I'll do 9.4 just so I'm not one-upping you. Because I hate those accusations. The so two 9.4s and a 9, and that is an average score of 9.26. So a great
That's amazing.
I
Yes.
think a really great score for an album that was like new to
Yeah,
pretty much everybody in some way.
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Cool.
This is Carrie and Lowell. Listeners, please take care of yourselves after
Yeah.
listening to the album and this episode. It's sad. It's sad and it brings up a lot.
Yes.
And okay, now let's segue. Maria, what are we doing next week?
Yes. Okay. Well, um, if you maybe listen to the episode before this one, you have a hint of what artist we're talking about. Think back to Hot Tracks. I'll give you 1 second. Okay. So next week we're gonna be talking about Hounds of Love by Kate Bush, which I'm so, so, so excited about. We were actually all texting about it, and like I think we all ate up some of our workday by listening to it like basically the same day together. We were texting quite a lot about it, and I was just like, "Oh my
Well, no,
gosh!"
I listened at night.
No, you didn't.
Wait, I thought you listened to it during the
Listen
workday.
to it during the day.
Oh.
Yeah, you totally listened to it during the workday.
Oh.
Regardless, we all listened to it.
I don't remember that.
You absolutely, because I couldn't participate in the conversation because I was having a breakdown at work because work was going crazy.
Oh,
And I like opened my phone to a million texts about like Unearth the Ice or Under the Ice, whatever that song is about.
oh, I do remember. I did listen to it at work.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Yar.
Which I wouldn't recommend. You need to like digest that properly.
You need to take space with this out, hold space with
Hold
it
space
in a
for it.
place that isn't your workplace.
Yeah.
Um,
Obviously, I will be giving it another listen.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, we're talking about Hounds of Love, which is so exciting. If anyone is unfamiliar, like the back half of this album is like a completely different, like conceptual narrative from like the first handful of tracks. And it has a title, like a subtitle of the ninth wave. So I implore listeners, if they're going to listen to Hounds of Love for the first time, to do some extra research and be maybe somewhat familiar with the narrative of the back half of the album, maybe before you listen to us talk about it, because we're definitely going to be talking about it. Because it's just incredible. It's just so crazy, and I'll never forget listening to this for the first time. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about it. I'm really excited. Um, and yeah, we're gonna have a blast.
Yay. Okay.
Yay.
Well, everybody take care of yourselves. I don't want to do the pun thing for this. This,
Yeah, we usually end the episode in puns with like the song titles, and maybe we can forego it.
yeah, it just doesn't feel right for this album.
Yeah.
And on that note, we love you, Pop Girlies.
We love you, Shanti.
Love you.